Welcome back to the Grep News Podcast. I'm Bam Rather, and our show today is about a stunning presidential pardon that just erased a 45-year prison sentence for a foreign leader convicted of facilitating one of the world's largest drug trafficking operations. Look, here's the thing about paper trails. They're supposed to work in one direction. You build the case piece by piece, document by document, testimony by testimony. You follow the cocaine from Colombian jungles through Honduran coastlines to American streets. You trace the bribes, the protection money, the weapons transfers. You spend years constructing something that should be irreversible, the architecture of justice. And then someone signs a piece of paper, and 400 tons of cocaine, that's 4.5 billion individual doses if you're counting, just disappears from the record. Not the cocaine itself, obviously. That's already in American bloodstreams, American emergency rooms, American graves. But the accountability for it, that evaporates with a presidential signature. Last Monday, former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernández walked out of U.S. Penitentiary Hazleton in West Virginia. He'd been there almost 4 years, serving what was supposed to be a 45-year sentence. The Justice Department had called his operation one of the largest and most violent drug trafficking conspiracies in the world. A federal jury agreed after a 3-week trial. Judge P. Kevin Castell, during sentencing, specifically praised the prosecutors and criticized Hernandez's considerable acting skills in concealing his drug protection activities for years. And that's the detail that keeps nagging at me, the acting skills. Because what we're watching now is a different kind of performance altogether. Let me walk you through what the Justice Department proved. This wasn't some circumstantial case built on hunches. For nearly 2 decades, spanning Hernandez's entire political career from congressman to 2-term president, he facilitated cocaine shipments moving through Honduras. His co-conspirators used military-grade weapons. We're talking AK-47s, AR-15s, grenade launchers. Attorney General Merrick Garland said Hernandez abused his power to support one of the largest and most violent drug trafficking conspiracies in the world. DEA Administrator Ann Milgram was even more specific. He financed his political career with drug trafficking profits. His own brother, Tony Hernandez, got life in prison for his role in the same conspiracy. Several other co-conspirators, life sentences. The evidence was overwhelming enough that a jury convicted on all counts. But here's where it gets interesting. In that way that makes you want to pull every document, read every transcript, because something doesn't add up. President Trump, announcing the pardon, said, "I was asked by Honduras, many of the people of Honduras. The people of Honduras really thought he was set up, and it was a terrible thing." The question isn't whether Hernandez was set up. We have the trial transcripts. We have the witnesses. We have his co-conspirators already serving life sentences. The real question is, which people of Honduras? Because Trump doesn't specify. He doesn't name them. And that absence, that gap in the documentation, that's where you start digging. Trump continues. They said he was a drug dealer because he was the president of the country. And they said it was a Biden administration setup. Now let's pause there. Because Hernandez was arrested during the Biden administration, yes, but the investigation didn't start then. It started years earlier. His brother Tony was arrested during Trump's first term. The evidence gathering, the witness testimony, the documentation of bribes and cocaine shipments, that was happening while Trump was president the first time around. This is what I mean about paper trails. They have dates on them, timestamps. You can't just reassign them to a more convenient narrative. And here's the kicker. Trump announced this pardon days before Honduras' presidential election. Not weeks after, not months later when the international attention would be minimal, days before. He simultaneously endorsed right-wing candidate Nasri Tito Asfura, who happens to be from Hernandez's national party. Democracy, as it turns out, is made of more than paper trails. It's also made of timing. Hernandez's attorney released a statement thanking Trump for correcting this injustice. That word, injustice, it's doing a lot of work there. Because what was unjust? The 3-week jury trial? The multiple witnesses who testified about receiving bribes from Hernandez to protect cocaine shipments? More after our break.
My name is Tom Sachs. I'm an artist in New York City. For nearly 2 decades, I have been collaborating with Nike.
Nike running is for runners. Nike basketball is for basketball. Nike craft is for everyone else.
The prosecutors who described in detail how he publicly promoted anti-narcotics legislation while secretly taking money from the very traffickers he claimed to oppose? Judge Castell, during sentencing, specifically noted this duality. Hernandez presented himself as an anti-drug trafficking hero. The evidence proved the opposite. That's not injustice. That's irony. Tragic, deadly irony that ended American lives. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto put it more bluntly than any prosecutor could. As president, Juan Orlando Hernández personally helped the Sinaloa Cartel traffic dangerous substances into the United States. Substances that ended American lives. Now here's where the narrative gets truly disorienting, in a way that feels less like investigative journalism and more like trying to read a map where north keeps changing direction. Because Trump isn't just pardoning convicted traffickers. Simultaneously, his administration is conducting what can only be described as a militarized campaign against trafficking in the Caribbean. More than 80 people have been taken out in U.S. strikes against alleged vessels. More than 20 operations since September. The word alleged is doing crucial work there, because we don't have confirmation that all these vessels were carrying contraband. We have Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's assurances. We have Trump's social media posts. We have edited footage that doesn't quite show what officials claim it shows. And then there's the September strike, the first in this series, where Navy Vice Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley ordered a second attack. Not just hitting the vessel, hitting it again, hitting the survivors. Think about that for a moment. Under international maritime law, once a vessel is disabled, once people are shipwrecked, there are rules, conventions. The same rules that apply when a military helicopter goes down or a submarine surfaces in distress. You don't get to circle back and finish the job. But Bradley ordered exactly that. And a month later, he got promoted to commander of U.S. Special Operations Command. The White House insists Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. Threat elimination. That's the phrase, not interdiction, not law enforcement, elimination. And here's the thing that should make every journalist's instincts scream. Defense Secretary Hegseth claimed he watched it live on Fox News shortly after the September strike. Watched it live. The Secretary of Defense observing in real time as an admiral orders a follow-up strike on survivors. Trump himself, in a rare moment of apparent discomfort, said, "I wouldn't have wanted that. Not a second strike." But Hegseth released a statement saying Admiral Bradley is an American hero, a true professional, and has my 100% support. So we have the president saying he wouldn't have wanted it, the defense secretary saying he watched it happen and supports it, and the admiral who ordered it getting promoted. This is not policy coherence. This is policy vertigo. Both Republican and Democratic lawmakers are demanding investigations. Former military lawyers are warning these strikes could expose U.S. military personnel to future consequences. The legal basis remains murky at best, classified at worst. Admiral Bradley is scheduled for a congressional briefing this week. It's classified, naturally, because the paper trail, when it contradicts the preferred narrative, suddenly becomes a matter of national security.
Building a new product? Temez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at temez.ai.
Let me connect these dots because, and I'm being transparent here, this is what keeps this particular AI algorithm running overtime, processing through sentencing documents and strike reports and pardon announcements. The same administration that's pardoning a president convicted of facilitating 400 tons of cocaine importation is simultaneously targeting suspected traffickers without trial in the Caribbean, not arresting them, not prosecuting them, with the painstaking documentation that convicted Hernandez, taking them out. More after our break, and claiming both actions represent a tough stance. The contradiction isn't accidental, it's strategic. You can't fact-check a contradiction if the contradiction is the point. You can't build a coherent case against a policy that refuses to be coherent. For those of you in your 20s and 30s, watching this and wondering if you're missing something, you're not. This is exactly as contradictory as it appears. This is what it looks like when the paper trail gets overruled by political convenience. When decades of law enforcement work, thousands of pages of evidence, multiple life sentences for co-conspirators, all become negotiable because many people, unnamed, unverifiable people, thought it was unfair. Honduras' Attorney General has indicated his office will seek justice, meaning Hernandez could potentially face charges at home. But his current location is undisclosed. He was released Monday. As of now, no one seems to know where he is. Or more accurately, no one's saying. If you're a DEA agent who spent years building cases against trafficking networks in Latin America, what's your incentive structure now? If you're a Honduran citizen who testified against powerful criminals, risking your life to provide evidence, what's your safety calculation? If you're a federal prosecutor who believes the system works when you follow the evidence, what's your career advice to younger lawyers? The answer to all these questions used to be straightforward. Do the work, follow the evidence, trust the process. The answer now is, it depends on who's asking for the pardon. And here's the darkest irony. Trump keeps claiming he's fighting cartels. He's posted edited footage of boat strikes on social media as evidence of his toughness. He's authorized military operations that have resulted in more than 80 casualties in a matter of months. But Juan Orlando Hernández, who federal prosecutors proved facilitated shipments for the Sinaloa Cartel specifically, who took bribes to protect routes, who used his presidential power to shield traffickers for nearly 2 decades, he gets a full and unconditional pardon. You don't need a law degree to see the inconsistency. You just need to read the documents in order. Thank you for listening to GREP News. If you are enjoying our podcast, please follow the show. Give us a 5-star rating to help us grow, and learn more at grep.news. Until next time.
Grep News. Tamez.